Hey guys, JB here from Alpha Wolf Consulting, coming to you today with another episode of Understanding Thyself. And this episode is all about understanding, goal achievement, the psychology behind achieving goals. So how we use our psychology to easily achieve any goal that we set out. And then how do we go about achieving that goal? So what I'm going to do in this episode is I'm going to talk to you about, my personal experience recently of walking, roughly about 700 Ks across country, and sort of how I planned that trip in terms of how I set goals and then how I achieved those goals. So it's very important to understand that in goal achievement, we want to break it into multi-levels of our goal. So for example, my overarching goal was to walk from Rockhampton to Toowoomba, but that's such a big task, 700 kilometers. So for example, if I was to just try and achieve that in one go, that's almost an impossible task. It took me roughly 26 days of walking over a 35 to 38 day period. So we just got to understand that when we have these larger goals, okay, and an easy way to understand this is if we set a goal for 2025, or we set a bunch of goals for 2025 that we want to achieve. Okay, so think about it in that sort of context. So what I did is I had this goal of, walking 700 kilometers, even though I didn't know at the time how far the distance was. I had a geographical place that I had chosen that I wanted to walk to, and then each day I circumnavigated my way there. Does that sort of make sense? So the overarching goal was to reach Toowoomba, but each day I set new goals and milestones for the leg of the journey. Each week I set a new milestone and a marker that I was going on. Toowoomba was the direction of travel. Okay, so if we think about this in terms of, let's say our goal was weight loss and I wanted to lose 100 kilos in 2025 as an extreme example. Okay, it's not that the goal is important. The goal is the milestone or the marker or the direction of travel that we're going to. And each day and each week, we are just moving towards that and maintaining momentum towards that goal. So each day I would plan out my day of walking, and each week I would plan out the new week of walking, if that sort of makes sense. So it's not that we're trying to create a rigid plan of I must walk 20 kilometers a day, 5 days a week or 6 days a week, you know what I mean, to cover X amount per week. That's the wrong way to think about goals. We need to have milestones and markers. So for example, how I did it was I would look for places where I wanted to sleep or camp. So either it was based on 3 main components: sleeping, so a safe or a comfortable place to sleep, water, and food. They were my 3 main drivers. I needed to refill my water every 80 kilometers. I needed to refill my food every, week or 2. And I needed every night to have somewhere where I was going to rest and sleep. Okay, so the main driver in the walk was sleeping. The secondary was water, because I could carry 20 liters of water with me. So that meant I could go 2 or 3 days, of walking before I needed to refill my water. So it's very important to understand this, because this is sort of what the key components to goals achievement or goal setting is that I have my main goal Okay, and we'll stay on the goal of weight loss, or the concept of weight loss and goal achievement. Okay, so what are the three main drivers? So we've got exercise, we've got diet, okay, and then we've got our emotions, or our emotional state. If I can maintain these three things, okay, then I'm able to maintain momentum towards the goal. Okay, so each day or each week, this is what we're measuring. When we're trying to lose weight, we're measuring, are we exercising? Is our diet, or are we eating, right? Are we eating with a diet that goes towards our goal? I.e., if we're looking to lose weight, we wouldn't want to have a high fat, high carb, high processed diet, because that's counterintuitive, or that's working against the goal that we're trying to achieve. And the last is emotions, or emotional stability. If I'm emotionally volatile or emotionally unstable, then what's going to happen is it becomes harder to maintain the momentum towards my goal. Okay, because emotions are what drive subconscious behaviors. When I feel sad or negative about myself, I tend to find it harder to stick to a diet or a regime or an exercise regime that I am following. So we just got to understand, what are the main drivers? What are our key indicators towards momentum, or key indicators of momentum? For example, when doing the walk across country, well, if I don't walk, no progress happens. In weight loss, if I don't exercise, no progress happens. If I don't diet, no progress happens. In the walk, if I don't have water, I cannot progress. After 3 days, I die. And then the last one, emotional stability in exercise, that's what gives us that sense of stability. So when our emotions, when we're feeling good, when we're able to control our negative days and our positive days, because we don't want to have, a high uptick one day where we're highly positive and we go out and we exercise, and then the next day we're in a deficit because we're not feeling so positive. So emotional stability is key to being able to maintain momentum. So if we shift over and we think about 2025, whatever your goals are in 2025, when we're setting them, we want to set the big goal that is our marker for north, or our true north. So this is the overarching, over the next 12 months I want to achieve X, and then we break that down into our months and our weeks and our days. Okay, and it's not to say that we're trying to plan out or structure out the next 6 months, 12 months. No. What we're trying to do is we're trying to create points of measurements, or points of focus. So for example, my personal goal over the next 12 months is to build out for my business, is to write courses, to create content, to do group programs. So I need to have markers of focus towards those. So what are the courses that I'm going to write out over the next 2 to 3 months? What is the program that I want to run, the group program? What does that look like? And we just want to keep our focus on those areas. Okay? And it's not to say by writing them down we achieve them. It's just, now I know what actions I have to take to walk in the direction of achieving my overall goal for 2025. So it's very important, because the marker isn't that we write down a list and then that list becomes our whole 2025. What we're doing is we're breaking it down into weekly and monthly achievements or milestones that we work towards, and then daily we are creating the tasks. So it's not that we set out and create these tasks that we're going to do every moment of every day for the next 12 months. That becomes too rigid of a structure. We need the flexibility of the daily habit. Okay, so when we're setting out goals to achieve over the next 12 months, we're not trying to achieve, so to speak, the goal. We're trying to create the habit of holding momentum or moving towards that goal. For example, if we're looking for weight loss, it doesn't matter the weight that is lost. What matters is building the habit of daily exercise, daily, dieting, whatever it may be, taking actions that create that emotional stability within us to where we feel confident moving towards that goal. Because if we work in 3-month blocks, it takes 3 months to build a habit, between 30 days and 90 days to build a habit. Typically, it takes about 30 days to build a light habit to where if I maintain it, to where it becomes comfortable to maintain. After 90 days, it becomes an ingrained habit to where it becomes a part of my day-to-day life. So this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to redirect our habitual behaviors, and that's all it is. So for example, if every day I get home from work and then I jump in front of the TV and watch TV for 6 hours before going to sleep, that's a habit. So if I wanted to introduce exercise, I have to take time away from the TV or time away from that habit and redirect it into a new habit. And that's an important thing, because this is the psychology behind goal achievement, behind, creating that momentum, is we're just shifting our habitual focus or creating new habits. So this is very important, because to create a habit, we don't need to plan. We need to have an understanding of the direction that we're going, but we don't need to plan it out and write it down, so to speak. Many will say that if you write down your goals, you're more likely to achieve them. It's fucking bullshit. If you take action every day towards your goal, regardless of if it's written down or it's not written down, you are more likely to achieve it. The goal writing, the planning, the structuring, that doesn't get you any closer. That creates overthinking, over-focusing. So if we sit there every day and write down 10 goals that we want to achieve over the next 10 months or 12 months, and we write down the same goals every single day, every single day, every single day, we are no closer to achieving them. If we take action towards them every single day, we are closer to achieving them. Does it sort of make sense? Nothing happens unless we do something. So the important thing isn't the planning and the structuring. The idea is to have a loose understanding or a general direction that we're moving in, and to know the actions that need to be taken to move in that direction. I.e., if we want to lose weight over 2025, we need exercise, diet, and our emotional stability. That's it. So we know they're the actions that we need. So the whole point is now creating the habit. So the way we create the habit is only ever through doing. We can't create a habit through thinking. If I think about exercising every day, I'm not creating a habit towards exercising. I'm only creating a habit when I do it. So we have to do it. Doing it is the most important aspect, and what gives power to our action is when we act on it. So it's very important to understand this, because many in life, and I have studied this and I have tried countless times for myself to be able to do this in terms of, you know, I've done programs where it's, you know, trying to become more productive. Essentially, we become more productive when we start doing the work that needs to be done. There's nothing else. We don't need to plan. We don't need to strategize. We don't need to, you know, find the most efficient way to do it. Naturally, when we do a task 1,000 times, on that 1,000th time, we will be far more efficient at doing the task than we were on the first time. Repetition and action are the only things we need to achieve the goal. It doesn't matter if we exercise for 1 hour a day, if we exercise for 2 hours a day, if we exercise for 10 minutes. If we repetitively do it day in, day out, it becomes easier to do. And then we can sustain it for longer durations. So to put this in perspective, many days that I walked across country, okay, I started at about 5:30 a.m., between 5:30 a.m. and 7 a.m. Generally, I didn't finish walking until about, 6 or 7 o'clock in the afternoon. Sun up to sundown. Like, it wasn't planning out that I'm only going to walk for X amount. I started by trying to do that, and then I realized how stupid of an idea that was. I started where I planned out that I would walk 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, to get a total of 25k roughly. It was the stupidest thing. Why? Because the weather turned against me. Because the terrain turned against me. Because unless I was maintaining a very specific speed and all of this stuff. So the key realization I had is that life gets in the way. And that's the thing. We can't have rigid plans when we're trying to achieve anything in life, because life gets in the way. Some days we're able to do it, some days we're unable to do it. So what it means is that while we're able to do it, we do as much as we can. We move towards the milestones and goals we set out. Does that sort of make sense? So what I realized was that, and for example, for me, like I walked between 9 and 10 hours a day, sometimes up to 12 hours, and it wasn't by choice. It wasn't because I felt like walking for 12 hours of the day. It's that it took me longer to travel the distance it would have taken me to, because I was walking on uneven terrain, up and down mountains, up and down hills, up and down mountains. If I was walking on flat terrain, it would have taken me 8 hours to do what took me 10 to 12 hours. Does it sort of make sense? Sometimes in life, when we're moving towards our goal, we have an idea of how long it should take, and because of life circumstances, it takes longer. We don't move as fast. For example, if we take the idea of weight loss, okay, if we're trying to lose weight over 2025, we might have this idea that we want to lose 50 kilos, okay? And we might have this idea that if I lose 5 kilos a week, that's 10 weeks. It doesn't work like that. Some weeks we might lose 2 kilos, some weeks we might lose 10 kilos. Who knows? So the thing is if we're only willing to do an hour of work a day towards our goal, like we're self-limiting ourselves. And that's what I realized on the walk, is that I was self-limiting myself and putting myself artificially behind where I wanted to be. So I realized that while the sun was up, I would walk until I reached the destination that I wanted. If I got there early, I got there early and I could relax longer. If I got there late, I got there late. Does that sort of make sense? So we're not creating these ideas of I'm only going to do this amount of work a day. Each day we set goals and milestones towards what we want. And then we work at it until we achieve it. Some days it'll be shorter, some days it'll be longer. But if we're sitting there saying, I'm only going to work at it 2 hours a day, well, that 2 hours may get us the results we want. It may get us a quarter of the results that we want. So that's an important aspect of it to remember, is that it's not about the time duration. It's about the momentum towards the milestones and achieving the milestones. So we break the milestones up to being achievable. For example, on the days that I walked 50 Ks or 40 plus Ks, that was a 10 to 12 hour commitment. So that meant for 10 to 12 hours I had to be walking. If I wanted to walk it, like if I didn't want to walk at night, like I had to walk the entire day. Do you know what I mean? So I can either minimize to say I only have, let's say 6 hours in the day. So I'm only going to walk half the distance that I was going to walk, 20 kilometers or, 25 kilometers. Does that sort of make sense? So like it's not about we have to hit X milestone, but it's about setting the milestone and then working towards it until we achieve it. If I want to lose, say 10 kilos a week, then I have to have a diet that works towards it, but also what is that in terms of exercise each day? Is that 1 hour a day of exercise? Is that 2 hours a day? Is that 3? Is that 4? Is that 5 hours? Do you sort of understand? So it's very important that we understand the actual work that it takes to achieve. And it's the same in everything. So me walking across country, someone trying to lose weight, someone trying to build a business, someone trying to learn a new language, a new skill, a new ability, whatever it is, we have to measure and find out how long it takes us and break down that goal of, for example, our goal may be a business goal. Maybe we want to get 100 customers in 2025. So we have to work out, how long does it take to get 1 customer? How long then does it take to get 2 customers? How many customers can I get in a day? Some days I might get 3 customers. Some days I might get 10 customers. Whatever it takes. It's not that it has to take 12 months to get 100 customers. It's within 12 months I want to achieve this goal. It's not that in 12 months I have to lose 50 kilos. It's within 12 months I want to lose 50 kilos. It might take me 3 months to achieve my goal. It may take me 14 months. The time measure, okay, so the duration that I set on a goal or on what I'm trying to achieve is just a point of measurement of momentum. If at month 12 I've lost 35 kilos, then I know it's going to take another 6 months, or maybe not 6 months, but another 2 or 3 months for me to lose that extra 15 kilos. Does it sort of make sense? If I'm in month 8 and I've got 80 customers, and in the last month I have, achieved 20 customers, then I know there's 1 more month to do and I'm going to achieve my goal shorter. Goal achievement is just the milestones, and these goals that we set for ourselves are just measurements towards the like towards like what we want. For example, if we take the business analogy of getting 100 customers, I might get to month 6 and have 80 customers, and then in month 7 I might lose 30 of them. Who knows? Like it's not always linear going up. Sometimes there's drops, sometimes there's rises. Sometimes we have to go and backtrack. Sometimes when we're trying to get customers, we onboard the wrong types of customers. And then we realize a month or 2 later, like, I don't want those customers. Or they realize they don't want to do business with us. Does that sort of make sense? So it's about measuring, like it's a measurement tool. And all we are trying to do is daily, weekly, monthly, measure our momentum so we understand and comprehend the speed we're moving at, and we can estimate like and project out where we should be in the next month, in the month after that. Does that sort of make sense? It's very important, because when we get away from this idea of static goals, where the goal is to, because for example, if we're getting new customers, what we're trying to do is build up the habitual habit of prospecting every day, of bringing in new business every week. It's not that when we get to 100 customers, she's all good. Like, life doesn't stop once we've achieved the goal. But if we've set up in our psychology that the goal achievement is the only thing that matters, for example, if I'm trying to lose 50 kilos in 2025, and that's all I focus on, that 50 kilos. As soon as I lose that 50 kilos, I've achieved the goal. What's the point of exercising? So I stop exercising. I used to see this a lot in young fellas at the gym, where they would set a goal to get a six-pack or to build their muscles up. And then once they achieve that goal, they stop training because they had no incentive to continue. The mindset is about building the habit, is about building up and having flexible goals to where when I achieve 100, I say, well, let's go for 200, let's go for 300 new customers, like to where I can then change it. I achieve the goal of losing 50 kilos, let's do muscle development, let's do, you know, our stamina development. Maybe I want to run a marathon. Does that sort of make sense? So it's about being able to create these flexible goals to where I can then project them out infinitely if I want to. Or I can say, great, I lost the 50 kilos. Now I'm going to look at another goal, something different. Maybe I lose the 50 kilos and I decide I want to learn how to ride a horse and do horse riding and whatever it may be. Does that sort of make sense? So it's about creating the habit of moving towards goals, achieving those goals, not being stuck on the time frames of when I have to achieve them by, because life gets in the way. Things don't always go planned. Maybe we're doing weight loss and then 3 months into it we have an injury and we cannot exercise. You know what I mean? We break our leg. Can't exercise now for a bit. So that puts a dampener in. Do we give up on the goal? No. We just extend that goal out to kick back in when we can. Like when the leg heals. Does that sort of make sense? So it's very important because it's a mindset that we're building. It's about building the habits. It's about building the mindset of being driven towards momentum, towards our goals, of setting goals and then moving towards them. It doesn't really matter if we achieve them, if we don't achieve them. Like, we set them and then we move towards them. Maybe we get 6 months into our weight loss journey and we lose 30 kilos and we say, you know what, I'm happy with that. Do you know what I mean? Like, the goal is arbitrary. Maybe we set a goal of 100 new customers for 2025 and we get to 40 customers and we realize we've reached our capacity and we can't actually take on new clients or new customers without like diluting or sort of like lowering the standard of the services or the products that we offer. Like we don't know when we're setting out the goal or what we actually want. So it's just like a milestone or a marker that we move towards. Okay? And then we set up mini ones. But the key is that we don't plan out every step of our trip before we've even started, because we have no idea what it looks like. So we set a goal of where I want to go, and then we start moving towards it. And as we move towards it, we start setting milestones and markers that we want to do. So our goal in weight loss might be 50 kilos. And then every week, maybe it's like, hey, I want to lose 3 to 5 kilos every week. So it's like, what do I need to do that? If that sort of makes sense. Like, when we're doing the activity and moving towards it is the best time that we can plan, because we understand what we're doing and what we're moving towards. If that sort of makes sense. All right. Well, I'll see you on the next one, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks so much. Bye.